This is an MTPredictor trading update, and we're just going to kind of scan some of the markets here and see what sets up today. There was a automatic TS2 sell there, which you can see that's we would have needed to see that price here get below this current bar here, a reversal bar, and that has not happened. So let's just take a look at some of these other markets here. Okay, and this is that Australia dollar versus the yen daily chart that we were looking at in the weekly update. And you can see it did come, we talked about how the 50-day crossed the 200-day to the downside there. And we had price come up right into that 50-day moving average resistance. And we also got a TS3 set up with the trend there. So we're going to see how that plays out. Like I said, sometimes this will lead the S&P 500. I'll just put the analysis on here just to see what the numbers look like. So it's got a basically 5-to-1 risk reward. If that does follow through, we'll see. But if not, just an R1 loss there. If we come down to this 100% initial risk line, that would be an indication we could move the stop to the entry. So we'll see. Let's take a look at the daily futures. And here's the S&P. Let me just remove this for a second. So you see the S&P very similar in setup to what we had on the Australian dollar yen pair there. So we have this ABC pattern. I just put the Elliott wave analysis on that just so you can see the automatic TS3 as well there. This one hasn't entered yet. Wouldn't have you in the trade there yet. It's got to come down to 1102.75. We've got a low of 1103.50 so far. So no entry there, but you can see the setup. Not as healthy a risk reward as the Australian dollar yen pair, 2.5-to-1, but we'll see if that either they're going to take out this 50-day moving average here and base above that, and continue to press on upward. We'll see. Now, kind of moving on down here to the 15-minute charts. You can see we had these TS4, TS3, TS4 here in the ES. These are all counter trend type trades. You can see they've got healthy risk rewards there that haven't been hit yet. But again, these are counter trend trades. So at this point, if you go counter to the trend, we've talked about this before. Once you get to this 100% initial risk line, moving the stop to the entry here as you're going counter to the larger trend. And then some of the commodities just put up here. We did get, we were kind of watching that gold chart. This is the daily gold chart. We do have a decision point there. I put the analysis that hasn't entered yet, but you do have a DP there. And if I put the Elliott wave analysis on here, you can see we had the clear 5-wave pattern here into the typical wave 5 resistance area. If I also drew the decision point, select the decision point pivot here, which happened to be that wave 3 high, you can see we also have this decision point resistance in there as well. Again, the trend is long, so you're looking for a potential end of the trend there. So it hasn't triggered to the short side yet, but there's a setup there, and we've been watching that one for a couple. And drilling down again now, here's the 5-minute YM, has an automated TS2 sell there, and we'll see how that plays out. The YM on the 3-minute day-only chart on the 3-minute YM chart there, day only. You see that's got the TS2 automatic setup there. Trend neutral now, just starting to turn, potentially turn red. So let me go back to this YM setup here. You see the TS2 that's set up here. I'm going to put the analysis on here. So it's a short of 5 contracts in this case, and a risk reward of almost 5 to 1. I'm just going to step this forward a little bit here. Okay, and you see at this point, you're in the trade, and you've passed that 100% initial risk area. Just step it forward some more. Okay, now you've got a good move down here. Now let's say, this is a pretty good sized target down here, and maybe you're concerned it might not get to the target completely. I'll step it forward a little bit more as we get a little closer. You see that there's some good support on the 15-minute chart in the 60 to 70 area, just below or just above where the target is. In fact, if we go to the 15-minute here, I'll go back to this time period. Right in here, you see we've come down on the 15-minute chart into this area where there's all this support here, and we got this bounce. Well, one of the things you can do, you've got this little intermediate pivot here, but you can't select a decision point off of that. It has to be one of these major ones here. So if I'm looking for an intermediate target, something between this 100% initial risk area and my target, I can set up in fact, if I go to Advanced Chart Analysis, click up Wave 1 or A, and then I just click on this little pivot bar here, and then once on the entry, and it gives me this intermediate target. So I can take that if I see something on the bigger time frame, maybe we're coming into some support, or maybe I'm concerned that I may not get to the target. That's an option. But let's just see how this plays out. Let's say you just let things go and don't do anything fancy with that. You just let this trade play out. You can see how it came close, and now you're thinking, well, it was probably a good idea maybe to take that area. It came close. It's starting to head back the other way. Okay, it's hit it came back to this 100% initial risk area. So if you had moved your stop, which you should have at this point, if it's come all the way down here, it got pretty close, almost 5 to 1, just about 10 ticks away from the target. And then it's come all the way back. You should have your stop at least to your break-even point here. And you see the market came right up, didn't take out the original entry there. Came up again. It still didn't take out the original entry, so you could technically still be in this trade even if you moved your stop to break even earlier. And then look what happens. Comes down. Finally gets to your target. The strength bands here didn't exceed the gray line, so we're just looking at taking the target. So a pretty long trade. You waited a lot of the day into the afternoon to be able to exit that, but it certainly was worth it for a profit of $1,853 before your commissions and so forth. The other tip-off, maybe that you wanted to hold the trade, is looking at the larger trend. Now, we saw in here where the support was in that 60 area. At the time, the 15-minute trend was red or down. It did go neutral there for a bit, and that's when you had to wait out that pullback and then went back red. But maybe the thing that kept you in the trade was the fact that the 15-minute trend at the time was still to the downside. The larger trend was to the downside there. Okay, I hope that's helpful, and we'll look for more trades again tomorrow.